Good morning and welcome to the programme. Martina and Bernie, is it cold on the picket line?
It is.
Freezing. But fair play to the girls, they're all out there wrapped up in about 10 sets of clothing.
Passed by the other night and when the snow showers were coming, and there was still pickets there. Still going on.
Yeah, everybody's still out.
How long does the pickets go? Is it 6 in the morning? Or
6 in the morning till 12.
Till 12?
12 in the evening.
Right,
at
okay.
Night, yeah.
So we're going to be talking to Bernie and Martina in a second about that, the strike that's continuing and I suppose at a tricky phase now at University Hospital Waterford. We're also going to talk to Victoria, who's one of the student council members at the Waterford College of Further Education. Students are due to leave classes within the next hour and as part of a protest down there, we'll be hearing from Victoria. Rose is going to be talking to us about disabled car parking spaces. It's an issue that exercises the minds of a lot of people. We're going to be talking about the updated national curriculum. We've got major issues about how to become a master chef. Would you like to become a master chef, ladies?
No.
Oh, you're all right. You're okay there. We have an exclusive interview with a young chap who is over in Korea, in Seoul. And the country has just, I suppose, one of the main places where they have the coronavirus. Now, thankfully, where he is in Seoul, it's not hit at present, but we're going to be talking to him about the issues there. And also, we've got a very extensive and informative interview with people that are involved in life-saving and the issue of, I suppose, saving lives, preventative measures. Firstly, we're going to talk about this strike that is over at University Hospital Waterford. I think Martina was on the clip that we got from Emer last night with some other voices from the picket line.
Another good group up at the main entrance, and I have to say, everybody that is passing, everybody is beeping at us to say that they support us. There's people pulling in and saying fair play to keep it up. Even the doctors in the hospital are coming out and saying, we had a doctor, he came out with a load of food for us. We had another doctor pull in and said keep up the good work. Like, there is plenty of support. The guards came around the corner there and they were beeping at us. Our support is there. They brought down a busload of cleaners yesterday from Limerick and they're putting them up in a hotel here, and they've 20 other staff in there. So no, the place is still getting cleaned in there. We're not stopping anybody going in or out. We have no problem with the hospital whatsoever. This new company came in September and we've had nothing but trouble. We're all out here for a reason. We are all trying to protect our jobs. I mean, I'm a supervisor in there, and the new girls that have come in have been told not to take any notice of me. They've not to listen to me.
So joining me now in studio is Bernie Power of the Unite representative group and one of the negotiating members on the strike committee, I would say, and Martina Mooney, who's also, are you shop steward yourself?
No, I'm just a supervisor in there.
Supervisor in there. Yeah. The first thing is, just to remind people, why are you out on strike, Bernie?
We're out on strike simply because the HSE brought in a new cleaning contractor in September, and from the time they came in, they just put in all unilateral changes. They didn't go under 2-pay, which you should have had with ISS. They changed all our terms and conditions.
2-pay is what?
The transfer under the protective employees, transfer of the contract rate. So we should have held on to everything we had with ISS, and there would not been any problems.
So for people that don't know, ISS was a previous contracting company contracted by the HSE to clean the hospital and do cleaning contracts.
Yes.
And Momentum then got the contract.
Yes.
They took over, and then under legislation, you believe. Now, they would say that there's certain things that they don't have to do under 2-pay, and this is one of they've argued. So they say they're not breaking the law, Momentum.
Yes. Well, as far as we're concerned, they are, because, number one, the union, Unite the Union, have negotiating rights in the hospital, which Momentum choose to bypass. And when you try and speak to them, it's very hard to get them. We asked them weeks ago for an emergency meeting because this was looming, and they refused to meet us even though they were in the hospital that day.
And now they issued, as you know, a statement the other day when the strike started. The strike is now in its third day, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
They issued a statement saying, we were always available for talks and we wanted to talk, and they're now engaged in talks, which were you up until 1 o'clock last night?
Yes, 2 o'clock this morning I got home.
You shattered?
From all day yesterday, basically. I was on the picket line first, and then we went from there to meet them at 2:30.
You can hardly talk.
Yes.
Martina, one of the aspects that's important for this is ordinary people, in terms of those that may be attending the hospital. There's some photographs emerging which allegedly show bags being left on corridors, bags of rubbish. We can't verify, obviously, this completely. But from your perspective, and a number of the people on the picket line this morning were telling me they're concerned that things might start deteriorating within the hospital.
Well, personally, I think they will, because the pictures I was shown and they came out, it was nobody from the picket line who took the photographs. We were given the photographs
Somebody
last night.
within the hospital.
Somebody within the hospital that works in the hospital, we won't say who.
Oh.
But what my concern is, they're talking about this virus which is worldwide now, and if that gets into the hospital, my fear is that will spread because of the way it's being run, in a sense of the bins. Them yellow bins have everything in them.
Martina, you're scaremongering.
Yeah, no, I'm not really. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm making the public aware of, they need to know what's going on in there. We need to tell people what is going on. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for instance, when they came in, when Momentum came in for us, we've been asking for extra hours. We were always asking for extra hours before even Momentum came in. For our areas, they were only getting 3 and 4 hours per area. And we didn't feel it was enough. And I asked, when I was as a supervisor, I asked for the extra hours. They wouldn't give them. But when Momentum came in, for instance, just one instance, they sent 7 people up to one area that we only get 3 hours for. They sent 7 people up for 5 hours each to clean an area, scrubbing walls, scrubbing floors. Our girls only got 3 hours for that. And they were given 45 hours for that little area.
And part of this is that a number of people that they have recruited are on lower pay than what ye are on.
Yeah.
So ye believe that this is a fight for a number. You're not looking for a pay rise.
No.
It's very important.
No, we're not looking for a pay rise.
And
no.
Another tricky thing with this is that a lot of the people that you're defending, in other words, trying to represent those that are on the lower pay, they're in there working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those
because they're
people,
scared.
A lot of those people did not join the union because Momentum just brought them in and put them in areas And at the end of the day,
they're scared.
Yes, we have the negotiating rights, which they are not prepared to give us. Tony Kelly was on this morning to the HSE, trying to get this, sorted. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the HSE are very, very quick in blaming the cleaning staff for going out on strike. But it's down to them to fix this, because they need to get this company that they brought in. ISS were there 15 years and we were never out on strike. This company are in there since September, and this is twice we balloted. We stopped it the last time, but this time we had to do it.
Now, Momentum are engaged in talks with you, is that right?
They were yesterday.
And this is under the auspices of the Workplace Relations Commission, the WRC, which is a government-appointed body which tries to mediate and solve disputes. So Momentum are engaged with you, so they do recognise you.
Not really, because they are not engaging in changing anything. They are still taking a stand on they are right. So basically, they're trying to bypass the union, as far as I'm concerned, and just bring in those changes themselves.
So the talks went on until 1 o'clock last night?
Yeah, 1:30 we finished the talks.
And did they break down? Did they lead to any advancements? How would you define it? When you came out of those talks, did you have a big sigh? Were you tired? Were you thinking that was a waste of time? Or do you think there's something we can go with here?
I thought it was a total waste of time, because basically they weren't giving on anything. They were still wanting everything to go their way. They wanted us to come in. We could go, for instance, the Dunmore wing, but under the terms that they'd have, to doing bags and everything else, waste management, which we have men employed for waste management. The women are there to clean, the men are there for the waste management.
Is Momentum an English company, an Irish company, a mixture of both?
They were found in, apparently it's a family company, and they were found in Northern Ireland from what I can remember. But looking at reviews, when we were looking up the reviews from people that work for them, they're not very nice reviews, really. And I mean, I think a lot of people are so annoyed the fact that this new Dunmore wing, we bought bricks in the hospital to build this place, and we're not allowed in the Dunmore wing. Only the new staff. Apparently it's the 1080 staff that are only allowed in there, is what they're saying.
Momentum would say that they're involved in other cleaning services in other parts of the country. They get on grand and all that sort of stuff. Now, you have an issue here in Waterford at present. When you're in a dispute, things can get difficult. So some people would say, was anybody shouting at anybody passing the strike?
No, there was nothing like that going on. Nothing.
What about the idea that you have to try and keep everybody together, because you will have the possibility, like we're now into the third day.
Yeah.
You're going to have some people are going to say, lads, this is going nowhere.
No, everybody.
Like, somebody has texted in, confidence is high. Obviously, it's very, very difficult, but we're going to keep together on this.
Yeah, we are.
I'd be calling on the HSE now to get momentum into meaningful discussions, not just discussions that's wasting hours and hours, and that there's no give on. So basically, I think the HSE need to get involved. They're the ones brought in the company. They're the ones can fix this if they get them into meaningful talks. We're always available. We have negotiating rights. We cannot be ignored.
Some people saying they have a lot of sympathy with you. A few others saying they don't have sympathy.
That's fair enough.
Should be cleaned better.
Yeah.
But as another person texted in the other day, hundreds, if not thousands, of people go through the hospital every day.
Yeah.
Like you have spoken about the different cleaning products you've got.
Yeah.
You've spoken about the different systems that you're on. How confident are you, Martina, that this can be sorted out this week, or are we looking at this going into the weekend?
Well, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I'm hoping it can be solved for everybody's sake and for the hospital's sake and people coming in. I mean, we've had people, outpatients coming in and saying, look, fair play to you, I'm sorry I have to cross the line, but I have my child sick. And we said, that's no problem. We have no problem people passing. We have stopped nobody, because we understand that actually some of our workers had to go in with their own people, their own children yesterday, and got them there checked out and came straight back out again.
Would you like to see other workers taking solidarity action with you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, it is a good sign when you see them, and we have some at the moment.
We have, yeah.
Which is very, very good. And this is why the HSE are calling on this to go back. The HSE need to get their own members back, but they also need to get us back.
Yeah.
And any time there's been a dispute there, the cleaning staff have always backed everybody.
Everybody in
and
there, yeah.
Now it's the time for them to back us, and they are doing that.
Yeah.
Now, the HSE can come out and say it's impacting on patients. That's the last thing we want. We do not want anyone suffering in the hospital because of us. We don't want to get the name of people suffering. We're there to do a job, which we've been doing. I've personally been out there nearly 26 years. And, I don't want to be tarnished with the thing of I am impacting on patients' health. I do not want that, and nobody wants that.
Again, a lot of people coming in, texting in and saying they support you. My heart goes out to the cleaners. A few other criticising the strike, saying was there not something else, another way you would have done it. And we've also contacted Momentum to see if we get a comment from them. I wonder, will we?
I don't know.
Well, what you see, I think from the very beginning we were all brought in over to a big room, CSI. Oh, I can't remember what the name for it is. And we were all brought into the room. We were told,
a chat.
Yeah. This is we're your new people. We're going to change. Nothing is going to change. The only thing that's going to change is the uniforms. And we were having a conversation. At the end of the conversation, we were told, well, some of the people don't turn up, but we have a busload ready if you don't.
This was a company before they stepped inside the door were telling us.
We're telling us this.
We'll have a busload here in case you don't turn up on the first day.
Okay, is what we were told.
So that was not a very good welcoming.
No.
We'll let you get back to the picket line.
Thanks very much, Damien.
Bernie, thanks very much.
Thanks,
Martina,
Damien. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Damien.
Keep in touch.
Thank you.
Now, I'm sure you know our text and WhatsApp number by now, 083 3333 975. You can call Audrey on 051846123. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, Deise today at WLRFM.com, or write us a letter. A lot of texts coming in. It's time the hospital took back the running of the cleaners outside contractors is not the way forward. Others saying this is a fight for all workers in the public sector regarding issues such as this. We should have no zero contract hours. Other people saying about the state of the hospital, some places, in terms of the cleaning over the last number of years. So keep in touch. Keep your comments coming in, please. We want to know. We also want to know what you think about students protesting this morning. There are 700 students at the Waterford College of Further Education. There'll be hundreds out this morning. They're due to walk out at 11 o'clock. I went over yesterday afternoon. I spoke with Victoria Hammond, who is on the Students' Council. We're here at the College of Further Education. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
What's your name?
Victoria is my name.
Hello, Victoria. How are you?
Good, I'm good.
You're on the Student Council?
That's correct, yep.
What is the Students' Council?
So the Student Council is elected by the members, or like the student body, just to represent them with any issues and stuff that they have throughout the college year. And so we kind of meet every couple of weeks to get together to discuss those issues and then bring that forward to management and see if we can sort these issues out. Yeah.
For people that don't know, we're situated just off Parnell Street, and there's a back entrance as well down to the Waterside. So it's quite an extensive array of buildings.
Yeah,
How many students are here altogether?
There's about approximately 750, that kind of,
between full and part-time.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So it's a big enough campus, there's lots of people around, yeah.
We were covering the story a few weeks ago about some issues that have come up. Mm-hmm. Has there been any improvement or any changes?
I mean, the issues have been kind of sorted as they went along. You know, there was the issues with the student cards and that was eventually sorted out. The issues with the library, the staff being let go that weren't covering the library and all that. So those issues were actually resolved, but I think we kind of just have an ongoing issue with communication between management and students, that we're not being kept in the loop of what's happening around and constantly having to go chasing, and just general communication and attitude, I think, is there.
And what about the Susie grant? There were some problems in the last fortnight.
Yeah.
Have they been sorted, or what's
They
happened?
have been sorted. So the problem was that there was a problem, I think, uploading the information that, again, it was somebody new that maybe was involved doing it, as far as I know. So it was their first time putting through the information. It was a human error, which we now know. But the issue that we have is that there was no communication whatsoever from the college. They realised immediately that the mistake had been made and that there was going to be a week's delay, or maybe, I think, a week and a half delay with the payment. But there was no communication to the student body at all about that delay. So it was down to the students to go ringing Susie and ringing the college to try and find it out and all that. So just lack of communication again, to kind of disregard.
So students that would have gone to their hole in the wall to expect money in their account.
It was just not there. Yeah. So, and they had to wait. I think it was probably only a week, we'll say they had to wait, but for a lot of people they were buying bus tickets, for travelling in and out to college and all of that as well, that they were expecting and banking on that money to be there. And lots of students that wouldn't have had any other resources, to deal with. But just a communication from the college could have set everybody's mind at ease, and there wouldn't have been an issue. But again, it was just, that's not my problem, pass the buck. So
what are you looking at doing? We're here now on Wednesday afternoon, a lot of students coming in and out, classes are going ahead. What's the plan for tomorrow?
The plan for tomorrow is it's a mini protest. So we just wanted our voices to be heard and to be,
This will be Thursday. So this will be going out on Thursday morning. So
exactly,
Thursday
tomorrow.
at 11 o'clock.
Thursday at 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12, we're going to, all of the students in the classrooms will walk up and walk out. We'll come out to the car park here and possibly over into Duran's Court as well. We've advised, as a student council, we've asked everybody to stay on campus, obviously, just for insurance purposes and safety or whatever. And it's just so that they can see that we're not happy. We had brought this up before about strike action and all of that as well, but we just want them to know that we're not happy with the way things stand and with the way things are going, and to make sure that they can see that we need an improvement in it. And especially I'm not going to be here next year. A lot of people are only here for 12 months or just for this course, and so we want to make sure that these issues are sorted for the people who are coming in here next year in September.
What are you studying yourself?
I'm doing applied psychology, so
how's it going?
It's going really well. I'll be glad to get over it. As a mature student, it's been about 20 years since I was in school, so it's hard to get the brain in gear, but it's good. And we're enjoying our time here. It's just this has put a bit of a cloud over it all, and to know that it's it's difficult then if you have a problem who to approach if you don't think that problem is going to be dealt with properly and you don't think the attitude is going to be there. So it's
And is the Students' Council working? Is it the best way of doing it? Are those that are on the Students' Council representative of the students?
Yes, absolutely. This is my first time being on a Student Council, so again, we were kind of just we're all learning from each other, but the Student Council in past years has worked very well. We are doing our best to bring these issues forward, and I think it has been a lack of communication or a lack of, I don't know what else to say. It's just maybe that we felt like we were being fobbed off, kind of like that the duty of care to us was not there, that there was maybe other issues that were getting dealt with and not what we were asking for, that kind of way. So
and management would say that they're trying their best.
Absolutely, and look, I would reiterate the fact that it's not a problem with the resolving of the problems, that the problems do eventually get resolved and they are putting stuff in place to fix those problems. It's the communication and the general kind of attitude, I think, is what most people have an issue with.
What are you hoping to achieve by the walkout?
You came down, so that was one achievement, which is good, just to get the news out there. We just want, because we do feel like we've been fobbed off, and so this is kind of like the end of the line. We're coming up to only 2 months. We only have 2 months left, where we're actually still going to be here. So we'll be finishing up the beginning of May. So we just want to make it known that we are unhappy with the way that things are going, and we just want something has to give, and the communication has to improve, attitudes need to improve, and we're just making a little bit of a stand.
Victoria, thank you very much. So Victoria there talking to me, and if you're down around the Parnell Street area this morning, within the next hour, there may be traffic delays. We're not sure. The students are due to stay within the confines of the college, but you know how these things happen. You never know. There could be student protesting out onto the footpaths and possibly onto the streets, but they say they want to keep it within the college confines. Damien, the standard of cleaning at different times over the years has not been great in the hospital. Another person saying, my young grandson has been in the hospital in Waterford since last night, was operated on this morning. To be honest, I'm absolutely terrified for him. Who are going to empty the bedpans, clean the toilets, the showers, etc.? Surely there should be some cleaning staff working. Well, my understanding, texter, is that there are some cleaning staff working. But obviously, patient care may well be affected if this dispute continues. Other people texting in about the student protest, and we will take those in a little while. Firstly, we want to talk in a minute, if you're a parent and if you have a child at primary school, do you think the child is actually getting a proper education? Are they being taught the right subjects? Should they be taught different subjects or in different ways? Let us know. We're discussing that next. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to Derek Grant, and also Janet Twigg is joining me. Good morning, Janet.
Hello, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Damien, if Waterford Crystal was still there, they'd be the first out to support the cleaners. They always supported others, and people talking about that they want the cleaners to get what they want and the strike to be over. We'll come back to that and keep your texts and comments coming in. Also, any parents out there want to text about the next item, because it's a very interesting discussion. I'm going to go straight first to Derek Grant. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning, Damien. And Damien, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to your listeners this morning about the draft primary curriculum framework which the NCCA published on Tuesday.
Yes, so let's just explain this briefly to people. There is you're director of the National Council for Curriculum Assessment. These are proposals to update the primary curriculum. So we're looking at primary schools. And it published these documents the other day. It's available on NCCA.ie in Irish and in English, and there's a consultation period going to run until, I suppose, October. I'm going to be talking to Janet about her experiences as a teacher, but can you outline, Derek, for me, please? What are the main issues that you want addressed within this framework document?
Of course. So I suppose, Damien, really, for your listeners this morning, and I'm thinking about the parents out there, grandparents as well, teachers, everybody who's listening, there are two big questions really that we're asking during this consultation period. And the first big question is, what is the purpose of a primary education for tomorrow's children? So, Damien, why this morning were children packed into cars, into buses with their school bags, uniforms, and dropped off at school? What is the purpose of that time for children? And on deciding the purpose then, what are the priorities and what structure and what components within a curriculum can give children a really high quality experience for their time as children, but I suppose also for their time when they move into adolescence and move into adulthood. So I suppose, Damien, they're the two big questions that we're asking everybody during this consultation.
And we'll tease those out in a second. I'm going to ask Janet Twigg. Janet, former principal of Christchurch National School. You're retired now, so you can speak openly. You're speaking for yourself.
Yes.
What is your... What do you believe is the central philosophy or tenet of what a primary education should be?
I suppose over the 35 years that I was teaching and then the last number of years as a principal, my idea of education changed. I would have come out in the days that we didn't have much money back in the 80s and then into the 90s, and suddenly we did, and we had lots of workbooks, and the children spent a lot of time writing and performing in written work. And suddenly I was kind of looking at some of the children coming in and saying, gosh, this doesn't really suit those children. So I then became involved with the NCCA, with the Ashton programme, and really changed my own teaching methods and worked with teachers, helping them to see a different way in teaching and facilitating learning with the children. And over the years then, I think that I became very interested in the well-being of children. And I think for me, the bottom line in school is that if a child is happy, they'll learn. They learn despite themselves. They learn because they want to. They learn because they're hungry for new information. But they also learn by doing. And suddenly the curriculum also changed for me in that I realised, well, actually, subjects was what they were learning, and it was how they were learning that really interested me. And so therefore I became very interested in play and children learning through play. And most of my day would have been spent with the children learning through play.
Derek, what do you have to say to Janet when you hear her analysis? I suppose it's only touching on the surface of this idea of well-being at the centre of the focus for this.
Absolutely. I suppose, well, I've met Janet before, and actually Janet's school would have supported NCCA in developing these proposals. So I'm delighted with everything that Janet mentioned there. But I just want to pick up, so Janet would have talked about back in the 80s. And back in the 80s, teachers would have worked with the 1971 curriculum, and it was lauded as being highly successful. From the 71 curriculum, we had the 99 curriculum, which is now 21 years old. So we're looking at building on previous strengths of previous curricula that we've had in Ireland. And the 99 curriculum, I suppose, Damien, I do want to say it was a cutting-edge curriculum of its time. It gave a very strong foundation for teaching and learning in Ireland, but it is of its time. So what we're proposing here is to build on the success of the 99 curriculum. I mean, when you put it in context, children that would have come through the 99 curriculum are now adults themselves and teachers themselves in school. So there have been significant changes in our society in that time. I mean, our Irish society is a lot more diverse than it would have been, and I suppose that's mirrored in our classroom. Okay,
so can I ask, I'll ask you this in a minute, Derek. I'm going to ask Janet this first. Why try and change something, Janet, if it's not broken? The education statistics across the world show that the Irish education system is one of the best in the world. The proposals here include developing more PE, SPHE, digital learning, introducing modern foreign languages, technology, ethics and a broader arts education. Will that get away from the idea? You don't want children leaving school, primary school, not being able to read and write and spell and do your maths tables, do you?
No, and I think that for me that was always a concern when suddenly I was changing the way I was teaching, and whereas I would have spent a huge amount of time every day listening to the children reading, what I then wanted to do was to make the children, or to show the children that reading was so exciting and so interesting, and that they would be able to pick up any book. And I think that oral language was a huge part of that for me, because I could suddenly see that the children's oral language levels coming into school was dropping, and I was teaching infants all of those years, so I could see the change coming, and I really wanted to work on that, and I was working with the children then as a facilitator. So I wasn't really their teacher. I was playing with them. I was being part of the shop. I was being at home. They might have had me as the baby and feeding me, or I might have been in the dentist's chair and they were checking my teeth, or it all became great fun. And they saw me as somebody who wasn't there to I suppose just stand in front of the class, that I was there to be their friend. And I think that they then opened up to me very easily, and for their own well-being and the SPHE, that was important.
Derek, on that and the potential changes, they're only proposals, but like in terms of time allocations, the amount of time spent on languages and maths and providing for well-being, and then also reinstating what's called discretionary time, are you possibly giving lazy teachers the chance to do feck all in class?
Gosh, Damien, I certainly hope that's not going to be the case. I suppose, Damien, our view of teachers is articulated in the vision statement that sits at the beginning of this framework. And it doesn't view teachers at all as being lazy. Rather, it views them as committed, skillful and agentic professionals. And what this...
And I paraphrase, sorry Derek, I paraphrase that in the sense that I would agree with you, the vast majority are, and I've got a lady in front of me who spent all her life imbued with this sense of education as a philosophical, I suppose, way of bringing life into children. But there may well be some teachers out there that may well look at this and saying, this is a load of rubbish.
Yeah, and if there are, Damien, now is their opportunity to have their say, and that is why they are draft proposals at the moment in this framework for a consultation that will run until the end of October, which could seem like quite a long time, but it's to give everybody that opportunity to have their say. I mean, in terms of the proposals themselves, well-being takes particular prominence in the new framework. And again, that has come from research. It has come from working with schools. We have a schools forum that we've worked extensively with. Actually, we have 3 schools from Waterford City that we work with. Newtown Junior School, Newtown Senior School and St Ursula's Primary School. And we also are placing an emphasis on physical and health education. And that has come out from previous consultations and a need to consider children's physical, social and emotional health in terms of how they develop relationships, how they live and how they ultimately become important members of society.
Yes.
We're also proposing, I suppose, an emphasis on arts education and a broader arts education. And this too has come from parents. And we've consulted widely with parents on this, and we would have actually held focus groups in Waterford as well with parents in 2018 to garner their views about what they see a primary curriculum being able to do for their children.
And can I ask, Janet, what do you think parents should do now? Parents that are listening to this conversation, go on to the NCCA website and actually take part in this discussion, because this is a very, very important discussion, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's really important that everybody has their say and everybody's voice is heard. And as a parent myself, I think that bottom line for us as parents is that our children's well-being and our children's education is so, so important and so dear to our hearts. And we want the very best for our children. And I think that everybody should take part. Nothing is wrong, I suppose, and that everybody should feel comfortable that they're part of the process.
Very well put. And Derek, I'm going to leave with this thought. A text in from Pat. Our 3 daughters went to the model school, as it was known then. Our girls were very happy in that school, due mostly to all the teachers who were just super with the kids. A very, very happy school. Derek, thanks very much for joining us. We might talk to you later in the summer about the update on this, maybe just before the schools come back. And anybody has any interest and anybody wants to do this, ncca.ie. Derek, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Damien. Thank you, Janet.
Thanks,
Bye.
Derek. Bye.
And Janet Twigg, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
How's retirement going?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Every minute of it. I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock anymore.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Janet Twigg there. Now some texts and comments coming in from Maria. I'm a grandmother and I think this sounds like a great idea. This coming from someone who hated every day at school. Tracy texted to say, Janet's a brilliant teacher in residence in Waterford Libraries. Ray, good morning. How are you getting on?
Not so bad at all, Damien.
Ray Cullen, had you a good time at school?
Sure, it wasn't too bad. We had a few early incidents as a young man, but my father, God rest him,
sorted it out. Yeah, I had a teacher called Hitler. Oh. Yeah. Like it's funny how you'd have teachers that are just and the baitings that young lads, and there was a class issue involved as well, that normally a poor kid would get a bigger beating than somebody be a little bit posher. Like I was the Garda sergeant's son, so I didn't get it too bad because the teacher was probably afraid.
Yeah, I suppose I came from a big family and maybe we were the poorer relations and whatever, but I think myself a lot of it was that the people who actually abused us in that context, enjoyed it. And
didn't they?
it is a little hurting even now to speak about it. But some of the debatings we would get, it'd be one thing having a row with your fellow students out in the yard, but because you were fighting in the yard, then they would beat you because you were fighting in the yard. It just never made that sense. But sure, look, we came on, and
thank God we've the education system has changed.
When you think about it, Michael Quinn, it's just unreal, isn't it? That's only 2 years ago, Tony, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Only
within living memory. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Ray Cullen, WIT Head of Tourism and Languages, thanks for joining us. Michael Quinn, Chef and Lecturer, and also Tony McMahon from Bellissimo. We're talking about the final year of the Culinary Arts student taking over the kitchen of Bellissimo for 4 nights, March 24th to 27th. Where did this idea come from?
I might take that one. Looking at something quite unique, creating something that's a fantastic experience for all involved. An idea that I would have pitched to Ray originally, and how to get the students, really, really brilliant students, in particular in this year in the college, involved in some way. So it's just looking at doing something quite different, collaboration, and bringing some key trades, industry suppliers on board as well, because these people that we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail are our future. It's as simple as that, really. So looking to spice it up.
There's 12 of them going to be creating tasting menus. Michael, you're working with them.
Yeah.
Why are you excited about this project?
Well, first of all, we're taking over a live restaurant. And it's the Culinary Arts degree programme. It's a 4-year degree programme in WIT. It's in its 4th year. It's actually in its 5th year. And it's a real opportunity to get these students out in industry, get them into a live situation and get them to cook really interesting food and get their ideas, get their take. So the students are leading it. I'm kind of in the background. Probably when everything goes wrong, it'll probably be my fault. And when everything is right, which is fair enough, and I don't mind that.
Will you be the Gordon Ramsay coming in at the end where the kitchen is falling apart and the mammy and the daddies are killing each other? And
No. We thought, no, there's no... But when I was training as a chef, we used to get frying pans thrown at us. But
did you ever get hit by a frying pan?
No, I could duck fairly quickly. I got a few digs all right. But
somebody would call duck and you say, on the menu, and you duck and you see this thing come.
Exactly.
You got a few digs. Yeah.
You did, of course, yeah. That's the way.
Yes, not in the face, of course.
No.
You
give as good as you get there. But
nothing like a kitchen fight to get your senses going, is
but
there?
The only problem with a kitchen fight is there's knives, so it can get hairy at times. But and yes, there all those stories. Most of them are true.
Ray, moving swiftly on because there's no fighting in WIT.
No, there won't be. No,
there won't be fighting at all. This is perfect because it ticks all the boxes. What WIT is trying to do, training people at a very, very high level. Michael, as we know, has worked in many chefs and many restaurants and posh places in the past and other places. And you're training them with real life experience. So this is great.
Well, it is, I think, as Michael so rightly said, it is our degree. It is students who have chosen as a future career to be chefs, but to be more than chefs, because while it's a culinary arts degree, what we are training really is young people, and not so young, for the food industry. And not all of them will go on to be in the kitchens working in culinary. Some will go on into food product development. Some will go on into the scientific side of it. And that's already happening because the first 4 years have happened and our first graduates were last October. Tony came to me with this idea of this chef in residence and this idea of could we put a chef in from our programmes for maybe 3 or 4 months to manage the kitchen and get that experience. And from there it evolved into the idea of that why can't we just take all of them as a group, take them out of their comfort zone, which is our state-of-the-art kitchens. And while we have fabulous kitchens and are used to working them, how would they react or how will they react if we put them into a strange environment? Yes, they've worked in Irish industry and they've all had a year abroad and they've had fantastic experience. So now what we're doing is taking all that experience, putting it all together and bringing all 12 of them into Bellissimo's over those 4 nights and showcasing the skills that they now have reached. And we're very, very proud of the skills they've reached so far.
Tony, how are you working this? Because are you saying, OK, lads, we can't get rid of the menu completely? Or this guy is going to create something that's completely anathema to what I might have done before? Or are you giving them a carte blanche and saying, off you go, lads?
Oh, absolute carte blanche. This
Really?
has to be the case. Yeah, because we got to leave that creativity flow. We got to leave their passion come true, and we're in full support of that. So this is, and it's.
Will you be tasting the stuff beforehand? Because the qualities of Ray is tasting it all. Ray's waistline is tasting it all. Huh?
Oh well, look, it's Michael will lead the squad on that night across the 4 nights. In fact, and I'm 100% confident it will be an experience that everybody will enjoy. And with that in mind, we're appealing for people to come and enjoy it. It's going to be an absolutely unique experience across the 4 nights. So it's 4 nights, 12 chefs take over Bellissimo Restaurant.
March 24th is what day? What day of the
Tuesday? Tuesday to Friday inclusive.
Tuesday to Friday, okay.
Yeah.
Which is good as well, because it'll get bums on seats.
Yeah,
and
correct.
it'll also increase, and it'll be great. Excuse me, do people should start booking now?
You will. You can go on to 2 websites, either the Bellissimo website or a WIT website, and look up Takeover, Chef Takeover, and there's a facility there to purchase tickets online across both or all of those 4 nights, I should say. So absolutely, because it'll sell out very quickly. There's a limit. There's only 60 seats on each of the nights, so it will definitely sell out quite quickly. And part of this, by the way, and for me, I'll champion the consumer end of it. It's about creating something different and exciting, and we believe that people want to be part of that.
So 60 seats. Let's say even 50 seats on the 4 nights. 200 seats.
Yeah.
3, possibly 2, but at least 2. A starter and a main course for each of those people. That's a lot. That's a lot of work.
Well, we're doing a 5-course tasting menu.
Okay.
So we also have a vegan and a vegetarian menu to run coincide with that.
Can you give me a taste of what is going to be going?
Well, we're doing lamb, 3 kind of different cuts of lamb, like a belly of confit. We're doing the roast loin. We're doing a shoulder, braised shoulder. On that, we're going to have smoked carrot puree, aioli, another confit carrot, and then a jus, kind of a licorice jus from the bones of the lamb. So there's lots of work in just one dish. We're doing a scallop dish with lobster foam. We're doing, we're making a rhubarb dessert. There's little petit fours. There's a huge amount of food, different techniques that they're using. So it's not just going to be we're really pushing the boat out, and we're trying to get the plates will be clean, crisp. The food will be really interesting, and the students, they've come up with the menu. We've tweaked it. They're actually cooking it now as we speak in the college, and we'll perfect it over the next few weeks. And when it goes live, it'll be perfect.
This is the part where I hear a chef talking about food, and you just sort of your mouth just starts salivating, doesn't it, Ray?
It does, but
you've got the worst job in the world, Ray.
I have. I actually probably have to attend all 4 nights and sit in the restaurant and look at it. I suppose the big thing about this is that WIT has been, with the whole idea have been brought together. Now we are being used as a pilot, and it is hoped through our sponsors, ABB Meats, and through Palace Foods, that we will roll this out into the 4 provinces of Ireland. So 4 colleges next year will run this more or less coinciding. It really is about marketing what is best about Irish food and Irish chefs, in particular young, budding future chefs within Ireland.
Because there is a problem getting chefs. We know about this, and there's a major problem, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Both getting them and keeping them.
Yeah.
It's a challenging industry. It has its challenges. It's coming from a place where, we've mentioned it already, where there's been situations where it's not been pleasant. But the industry's changing. A large part of the
things like
changing.
this,
we move forward.
Yeah, and things like this are kind of, they're giving students, they've come up with the menu, they've got the artistic license to do this, and you're giving them a fantastic opportunity on their CVs. There's a lot of learning going on here, and they're going to get a huge benefit from it. And at the end of it, they'll walk out, they'll be 10 foot tall. On that Friday night. They'll be tired, but they'll walk out.
They'll be carried out.
Quite interesting you said there about the challenge, because they reckon there's about 8,500 chefs required to actually fulfil the jobs gaps in the Irish market. Next Tuesday, we roll out our BA Level 7. We have 16 chefs, all from within Waterford City and County and a little bit beyond, but certainly within the southeast. And these are going to come in 2 days a week to train and upskill with us. And one of the main focuses of that programme will be to give them the skills to manage the people in the kitchens better. And we spoke a little bit about the fights and the battles in the kitchens. Yes, of course, there's fascinating stories out there, and a lot of it gets legs and whatever. But in truth, what we want to do is we want to train them to manage the people so they can retain them.
Of course.
And that the culinary, the profession, gets a lot more kudos for being a fantastic.
Tony, I have to ask you very simply, what are you going to be doing on the 4 nights?
I am going to be front of house,
all right,
making sure Ray is happy.
Okay.
Making sure everybody is fed and foddered.
And what happens if you hear shouting from the kitchen?
There won't be.
Don't go there.
I'm going to go there, lads, with the camera, and I'm going to film it all. This is going to be great. It's going to be great, I'll tell you.
It will be great.
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it will be.
And
that's the whole idea, to be serious, and the food is a serious thing, and there's paying customers. Yeah. But the kitchen has to have a bit of fun, and they have to enjoy what they're doing, and I think that's the problem.
And if the 12 boys and girls are listening to this at the minute out at Wit, hello to them all. And the best of luck.
Exactly.
Michael, thanks very much.
No problem.
Well done, and the best of luck. Tony, the very best of luck.
Pleasure, Damien.
The Lissimo WIT website if you want. It's the 24th to 27th of March. Ray, thank you very much.
Not at all.
Mind yourself and take care now.
It is an opportunity, if I might say. It is
for you to have
rare
4 great nights.
Unique opportunity that's happening now in Watford.
It is.
And thanks to our
Take
suppliers.
Advantage now, I would suggest.
Thanks.
See you later, lads. Talk to you.
Thanks, Damien.
Keep the frying pans now down. So don't be so.